everybody, and welcome to the Corporate Diary. This is Kat Garcia, and today we are at Newark Airport, where I practically live. So today I want to make a video about prepping for interviews, and as I await my flight to get back from my project here in New York, I wanted to give some time back to you guys and make a video where I discuss what it's like to go through the interview process. And this interview material that I'm going to be sharing with you is not solely based on interviews that pertain to consulting. They're not just consulting questions. This is called a behavioral type of interview. So I'm going to be sharing some tips with you. When I was going through the consulting route, I absolutely needed to practice, and especially in consulting, behavioral interviews are incredibly important. The way that you structure your thoughts and the way that you tell your stories is important, and how you present yourself is what you are being marked on. But behavioral interviews are pretty much standard interviews across every industry, every job sector, really. So I think regardless of consulting, it's a very good skill to have, and something that you can take with you for any interview that you do. So the first question the way that behavioral interviews begin is tell me about yourself. When someone asks you, or the interviewer asks you, tell me a little bit about yourself, or tell me about yourself, that is an indicator that you have to give an elevator pitch. So an elevator pitch is pretty much if you had 30 seconds in an elevator and you're stuck and you're saying hi to somebody and you're trying to know as much about them in 30 seconds, in a 30-second window before they change floors or you have to go wherever you need to be, what would you say about yourself? If you are in university, the most important, or I guess if you want a formula, I hate thinking of life as formulas, but if you really need one, you want to start off saying, hi, my name is, XYZ, and I am a university student, I am studying, my majors are, or I am currently studying XYZ. So at the time it was, I am a student at McGill University, and I am studying commerce with a triple major in marketing, finance, information systems. I describe myself as a creative and analytical person. I like to bridge both, and I use technology to do that. So again, that was just me being able to discuss my passions in a more philosophical way and saying, hey, I'm very creative, but I'm also strategic. And if you think about what I'm doing with my life, and that right now is defined by what I'm studying, then you'll see that I am combining my three passions for branding, for mathematics, and which is finance, and information systems, which is data mining, right? So, and innovation. So you want to be able to tell your story in 30 seconds, keep it brief, but still give your personality. Once you're out of university, and this is maybe more for consultants, don't talk about university, don't talk about college, don't talk about your majors or your minors. You're probably having to deal with senior executives who you do not want to have to age yourself with. You are, being billed at a substantially high degree per hour. So try to limit the amount of times that you say university or college. They already think that you're young, but they want to at least think that you are much more experienced for what they're paying. So that is question number one. Question number two, and I'm going to explain this in a few buckets. It's tell me a time when, or can you tell me a story? Oh, they would never say story, but they would ask you, tell me a time when. Most of the interview after you've introduced yourself comprises of questions dealing with leadership, times when you have had to demonstrate leadership, difficulties in performing a certain task or a project, failure, teamwork, And that is what I think of right now at the top. And maybe creativity, having to solve a problem in a creative way. So again, it's leadership, teamwork, failure, sometimes opportunity, strengths, weaknesses, and solving problems in creative ways. Get to know your style. All of these, again, I hate talking about formulas, but I know that it can help. So you want to have 3 parts of your stories, and that is the impact, the action, and the outcome. So when you tell a story, it's, you can go on and on about a time when you did X, Y, Z, or when you solved a problem, or when you dealt with a difficult team member. But for it to flow, try to time yourself to tell the story in 1 minute. You want to start with an impact. So what was the problem? What was the time that you, let's take working with a difficult team member, for instance. What is the impact that you had on that difficult team member? What was the issue? What was the action that you took to mitigate the situation and make it better? And what was the impact? What was the outcome? What happened after you took that action? You definitely want to make it positive. I mean, you don't want to ramble on about how you worked with a difficult team member and they sucked and, that was a terrible time in your life. No, you want to make sure that you are coming across as someone who was able to, in difficult circumstances, make the best out of it. And even if there's not a positive end, you need to find a positive end yourself. Maybe it could be a learning lesson. So maybe, you didn't change the way that this difficult team member acted, but maybe you learned something. So, I would definitely try to tell a story where something happy happened at the end, but if you can't, then that's okay. End with a learning lesson. Same thing with failure. Not failure. A weakness. This is the most, I would say, discussed question online. Whenever you're trying to find a weakness, definitely don't say I'm a perfectionist. There are way too many blogs out there to describe the reason for why that's not cool anymore. Everyone wants to say that they're a perfectionist, but it's an easy way out because the interviewer knows that you just aren't being honest. You're not. That's just like a very easy answer. Try to really dig deep. You don't want to, again, tell a terrible weakness that will impede you from getting the job, but dig deep into really who you are, be honest about yourself, and try to find something that is somewhat positive. So when I was going for consulting interviews, I knew that that was one of the main questions that they were going to ask me. And to be completely honest with you, I get bored incredibly easily. I do. I'm always bored, but that also allows me to do a lot with my life because I find the time to have fun and find things that amuse me. So as a consultant, your day changes all the time. You're given tasks just left and right. Your client will come to you with different problems all the time. Your team members will ask you for help. You will have to volunteer sometimes. Like the other month, I had to spend one of my days going to an elementary school and talking about business problems with kids who are like 5 years old and who are having to build products, and that was incredible. So again, it's not a weakness if you are in consulting, and I knew that. So I said to the average Joe, or to in most jobs, having a person that gets bored easily is difficult. You don't want to work with someone who gets bored easily because you don't have to entertain them, and there may be high attrition, they may leave. But in consulting, that's very rare. They want people who get bored easily for you to be able to adapt to changes every single day. So that definitely helped, and it was almost a strength for them. I definitely had to also make it sound like a strength, so it's all about how you tell that story. And so yeah, that's a personal answer at least. Don't go stealing it for your weakness. Same thing can be said about your strength. And I would just say you need to be able to be yourself. the final help that I'll give you is, it is all about being yourself. And I know everyone says that and it's cliche, but I didn't understand the value of that until I went through as many interviews as I did with pretty much every single consulting firm out there, and a bunch of startups, a bunch of different roles and different functions. And I realized if I can't be myself in the interview, then I'm not going to enjoy myself at work. I'm going to have to pretend that I'm somebody else, and I'm going to hate my life when I'm working for them. So as much as you can, be yourself in the interview, and the right fit will follow you. It's just like a relationship. I always tell people that going into an interview is just like a date. You are interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So choose wisely. They may be the most good-looking person out there. They may be, you may be attracted to them because of sometimes superficial things like the brand, the company name, but it's really about that meet and that first meet, that interview process. How are they treating you? I've had many interviews where, on multiple occasions throughout various different steps of the process, I've done like maybe 3 interviews for one company, for example, and with everyone I met, they were just a bunch of assholes, and I was like, I don't want to work for you. Even though even if you give me an offer, I know I'm going to be unhappy because I don't want to work with you. So obviously, don't tell them that. Just make sure that when you are in the interview, you're giving yourself a chance to be yourself, and pick up on how you feel after every single interview, how they've treated you. And reach out to people from the companies on LinkedIn or friends that you may know, and try to understand who actually works for these companies and if you can see yourself working for them. So that is it. My awkward rant on the interview process and how to prepare for behavioral interviews is over. Courtesy of Corporate Diary and Newark Airport. All right. Well, thank you so much. And if you guys have any more questions, be sure to check out my Instagram on @GarciaOnline, catgarciaonline.com, my website. And for more, check out my YouTube, Cat Garcia Online. Okay, guys.